Good morning. Welcome to Bluefield. It's a beautiful day, even though we've got rain. I hope everybody's being safe with the storm that's coming through, and prayers for the folks that have been impacted already, especially down Hurley and some places like that. So keep each other in mind as we go through this weather ordeal. This morning, we're having an Instagram refresher. Savannah and Faith are going to do the program. They do an excellent job with Instagram. That is my favorite social media program. I've said that many times. It's simple. I like looking at pictures, and that's why I like it the best, but I think it's underutilized by a lot of businesses. So today they're going to give you a little refresher on how to utilize that. Do want to let you know, October 5th, we're going to do another session on going into business first steps. We're actually going to change the program a little bit. We're going to talk about some of the characteristics of an entrepreneur. Do you have time to be an entrepreneur with all the other things going on in life? We recently talked to a lady that was doing all kind of things, had a job, taking care of a great grandchild and things like that, and wanted to start a business. And I think that's commendable, but then you need to realize that we all have 24/7, and is there enough time to accomplish everything that you need? So October 5th, put that on your calendars. We'll be sending out information on that. At the end of that program, we're going to have Region 1 PDC that has a microloan program that will be presenting. And their program is geared to businesses impacted by COVID and things like that. So that will be in addition to that program. So without further ado, we'll turn it over to Faith. Please remember at the end to take the survey, and so that we know what kind of programs that you want so we can best serve your needs. Thank you.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. It's so good to see faces here with us today, and welcome to everyone who's on Zoom joining in today. So we wanted to recap some info on Instagram. We did Instagram 101 and also 102, and I think Vicki, you were here for both of those probably a couple months ago. So today is just going to kind of be an easy review, an easy recap. We're also going to have a segment at the end. Savannah's going to talk about boosting posts, and that's super important if you don't know how to do that. It's very, very helpful in your Instagram marketing. Also, I wanted to mention before we jump in, we are having a Canva refresher on the 15th. So it's not next week, it's the week after. And Canva, if you don't know what that is, if you didn't join us on our last classes, we also had a 101 and a 102 of Canva. Canva is a super simple graphic design tool. And I say the words graphic design, and you might be like, oh man, I can't do that at all. Well, Canva is a super simple tool. It's drag and drop, and it's great when you are creating content for your social media. So join us then as well. All right, so we're going to just jump in today. Also, I want to know those of you on Zoom, if you could please keep your microphone muted, but feel free to ask any questions or put any comments in the chat box. Okay. So let's just jump right in. So the big question here, first off, is why is Instagram so important in your marketing strategy as a business owner? So number one, it's a place that allows you to tell your story. You know, when it comes to Instagram, I like to think of it as the coffee shop of social media, because it allows you as a business owner to kind of sit down per se at the table and kind of, you know, open up and set out what you have to offer, the uniqueness of your business, what makes your business, you know, just you get to tell your story. Jim always says this quote, and he told us recently that he's going to stop saying it because so many people stole it from him. But if you don't tell your story, then someone else will, and you might not like how they tell it. So it is super important to utilize this tool for that. Number two, it allows you to go where your customers are. So many people, and I think we tend to think that it's mostly the younger generation on Instagram, but so many older folks in our older generations are also taking to social media to do their shopping, to look up new places. So this is truly where your customers are. It's the ship that takes you to your customer base, I like to say. And then lastly, it just allows you to stand out. Again, it allows you to showcase your business in its space, that you can show what makes you unique and what makes your brand different from others. If you know you're just relying solely on your storefront to tell your story, that's great, but it is so important to also have another outlet sharing about your products, your services, and the uniqueness of what you have. All right, so let's keep going. All right, so how does Instagram benefit you as a business owner in your business? Kind of tagging along to the last slide. Number one, it allows you to connect with different users. So it broadens your customer base and attracts new customers potentially. Like I said before, if you're solely relying on your storefront to get that foot traffic to attract new customers, you might see 5 people in one day in your storefront, but you might gain like 50 new customers just by marketing yourself on Instagram. So it's a super important factor. Also, it allows you to develop a brand follower community, which leads to customer retention. And oh gosh, it was a couple months ago, we had Caitlin Workman come in with Caitlin Workman Photography. I think, Vicki, you were there for that too, maybe Rod. But she talked about the importance of kind of creating a sense of connection through social media. And, you can, come out with content that is about your product consistently. And that's great. You want to create content that's about your product and your service. But if you're not somehow using the Instagram space to connect with your users, then you're not utilizing it to the fullest of your ability, because you want to be able to connect and create this sense of community within your social media. It just allows for a greater customer retention, like I mentioned. Also, excuse me, it allows you, like we also talked about, to showcase your business and to show the world what makes your business unique, what sets it apart from others as well. And this is super important. It allows you to understand your target audience. We're going to talk about Instagram Insights a little bit later and how important it is to utilize those as well. They are so important when it comes to understanding who you're targeting and make sure that you're hitting that mark on who you want to hit. All right. So I believe it was Instagram 102 that we did a deep dive into these 5 big features of Instagram. These are the main 5 features that we see that you can utilize to put out content. But we're just going to do a quick review of each one. And like I said, if you want to know more about these, or you want to know how to develop one of these, you can head to our older classes and you will see it all. So first is posting. Posting just basically allows you to share photos and videos to your audience. It allows you to showcase products and services and share relevant content. I can't stress enough about relevant content to your business. Making sure that you're hitting that target is so important. We have stories. Stories are, you'll see it a little bit later because we're going to go over story highlights. But stories are basically being able to share quick info or tell your brand story in about 30 seconds or less. And these can be photos, these can be videos, you can do a poll, you can ask questions. This is a great way to engage your followers. We are constantly pushing stories through our social media. And sometimes you see more activity on the stories than you do the actual posts. So it's really important to utilize those. Also, we have IGTV. And I like to call IGTV Instagram's YouTube because it allows you to post longer videos, and you could even create like a short video series. So say if we have a graphic designer, say Miss Ebony Morel, I know she's joining us today. If Ebony wanted to do a short video series on best website design tips, she could create maybe like 5 to 7 3-minute to 5-minute videos. It can be longer if you'd like, and put those all on IGTV. And that way it would be in one place, ready to go. And it's just a great way to share, creative content. You can kind of get creative with IGTV. Also, we have going live. Not a lot of people like to go live. It's kind of like you get one shot, but these are great for connecting to your followers in real time. It's good for announcements. You can post it or you can save it for later, or you can just delete it. You know, if you get done and you decide, I do not like that video, I don't like how I sounded, you just throw it right away. The last one is Reels. And we, like I said, we did a deep dive into Reels in our last Instagram segment and really showed you how to create a Reel. We've had some people request more on Reels, so maybe be on the lookout for that. But these are just 15-second videos or clips of just engaging content. And you can get super creative with Reels. So say if you're a boutique owner, you could take a video of, you know, new products, you unpackaging new products that come in, or a video of decorating the storefront new. You know, you can do lots of different things with Reels. And it's just that short, engaging content. And it's kind of an entertaining way to connect with your followers. We have done probably a handful, 4 or 5, I would say, Reels on our social media account here at Beta. One we did was on opportunity zones, and it was kind of just like explaining what an opportunity zone is. And it sounds like a really hard concept, but we used a Reel to kind of break it down, and that got so many views. And the thing about Reels is Reels doesn't just target your existing follower base, it targets outside of your existing follower base. So you are potentially getting new followers from Reels.
Can you share our Come In, We're Open Reel? Just talk about it for a second. That was our 25,000 views.
Right. Yeah. I don't know why that one didn't come to mind. Right. So we did a Come In, We Are Open, what was it? West Virginia. Yeah, the SBDC did this campaign for small businesses within West Virginia, and they handed out these signs that said, "Come In, We're Open." Many of you have probably seen it, just the red signs. And we did a short reel. Savannah put it together. We went out and took pictures of all of our small business owners holding this sign. And it was just a short photo, and the reel that we composed had all of the photos. So it just went through really quick shots of our business owners, and that got, like Savannah said, 25,000 views off of that short reel. So needless to say, right. I know, come on, Virginia. But yeah, that was super, super helpful. All right, so let's keep going. Okay, so 2 of the biggest things to know when talking about Instagram marketing is when to post and what to post. You know, a lot of people take the shotgun approach and they just try to push out content and just see what happens, but we do not advise you to do that. It might work sometimes, but it's so good to utilize the tools that are within Instagram to figure out, okay, when should I post? When are my followers most active? And what should I post? What are they wanting to see? So first off, talking about when to post, timing is everything. Like I said, you want to post when your followers are most active. You can find this out in Instagram Insights, which, like I said, we'll talk more about later. For us, it's more in the afternoons and in the evening times, which makes sense. Most people taking that lunch break or getting off work, they'll hop on Instagram. We recommend posting at least once a day. You know, I always like to tell people, post at a sustaining rate for you. You know, if you're just starting out or you are at a point in your business where you are overwhelmed with a workload, a lot of times, you know, you will just want to push social media marketing to the back burner, but try to resist that temptation and at least post some sort of consistent content at a sustainable rate for you. And like I said, utilize those insights to be able to tell you, because you can hop on Instagram and it will tell you when your followers are most active. You don't have to do that hard work yourself. And then again, what to post. You are wanting to make sure that you're creating content that truly is capturing your audience and hitting that target audience. So you want to create relevant content for that target. You want to show off your products and services. You want to highlight what makes your business or product unique or special. Again, you want to be able to stand out from your competition, from existing businesses that are doing what you do as well. Two major tips is to avoid text-heavy content and focus on quality images. Quality images are so important when it comes to putting out content on social media. Savannah did a class a couple months ago on how to take good photos on your smartphone. And that was super helpful. So if you'd like to go back and watch that, I would definitely recommend. And lastly, avoid collages and utilize the carousel feature instead. The carousel feature we talked about, I believe, in Instagram 102. And this just lets you post up to 10 images and it'll give you a swipe feature. So it's 10 images in one post. So instead of trying to piece together 10 images in one, Instagram post, which can get very confusing, you can utilize that. All right, so let's talk about target audience just a little bit. So first off, your target audience is the audience, the group of people that your brand message is catered to. If you don't know your target audience as a business owner, then you can't really create content that caters to that group. It's so important to know. So ask yourself a question, just be thinking about this. If you don't already know, who is most likely going to buy my products or service? What need am I meeting and what group has that need the most? Like I said, utilize your insights. Instagram will tell you info about age, about gender, different profiles of who is viewing your content. And a lot of times what will happen is you'll get on Instagram Insights and you'll find that you're actually not hitting your target audience, your intended audience. So it's great to get on there and to look at who am I actually hitting and then adjusting accordingly. Also, just take some time to identify, look at demographics, brainstorm psychographics as far as what is this group most interested in, what are their lifestyles, what are their personalities like. And this kind of takes a little bit of time to just brainstorm, but it truly is so beneficial and so needed. All right, so just a couple examples. We also included these in our last presentation, but just to give you better clarity of what this looks like. So if I'm a wedding photographer, my target audience is going to be newly engaged couples in my region or city. If I'm a lawn care service provider, it would be homeowners who live in the city or even businesses as well. If I'm a graphic designer, I'm going to be targeting businesses that sell products or services in need of marketing assistance. And then lastly, if I'm a children's clothing boutique owner, I would be targeting women ages 20 to 40 around that with small children. So you see how, finding out that target is so important. All right. So let's get into just a little bit about algorithm priorities. The algorithm, it can be a little bit frustrating. It's a little frustrating to figure out, okay, what is Instagram wanting to push out the most? Basically, if you don't know what an algorithm is, it's Instagram's deciding factor of what content gets pushed out to people the most, who sees what and how much. So this is prioritized by number one, interest. If Instagram sees people are interested in what you're posting in your content in your page, and this is gauged by likes, shares, comments, even saves. Saves is a really big one. Then they will push your content out to be shown more to your followers. So you want to make sure that you're generating interest on your page. And that's why hitting that target is so important. Second is frequency. Like we talked about earlier, it's important to develop a consistency. Third is your following, which this one is, it's prioritized, but not an extreme amount, but I would encourage seek and find over the build and they will come strategy. Savannah did a little segment, I believe it was in Instagram 102, and she said, put your FBI skills to use. Go find your competition and follow who is following them. So really take some time to seek out those followers. You don't have to spend a whole lot of time on this, but just a little bit. Also usage, how active is your page? Instagram will prioritize pages that are being used more and active more over those that just lay dormant. And then last one, proper post dimensions, and you wouldn't think about this, but Instagram will prioritize posts that are 1080 by 1080 pixels over ones that are the wrong sizes. So make sure that you are posting in the right dimensions. And a great tool for this is Canva. Canva is great to get those dimensions right. And also, just a side note, the more your followers like, comment, reshare, view, or save your content, the more it will show up in their feed. So just make sure that you are generating interest. Some people even encourage their followers to save this post, or creating posts that will kind of intrigue people to want to save it, or, you know, do these things. So, all right, and let's get into developing a content strategy. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but a content strategy is simply getting the right content to the right people in the right place at the right time. So when we're talking about content, the right content and the right people, we are talking about hitting that target, knowing your target audience. So that's step number one. Step number two is figuring out the right time. The place would obviously be Instagram, but utilizing those insights to the best of your ability to figure out, you know, when to post and what to post. Also, just a super helpful tip is watch your tiles. If you don't know what tiles are, it's if you go to your homepage on Instagram, excuse me, the little squares that pop up as your posts, those are your tiles on your homepage. So we recommend don't post about the same thing every single day. Kind of create some differing content. You know, you might have a picture of your product, a quote, you know, I don't know, my mind went blank, but just differing content that it's not the same thing all the time. And then lastly, you can create your own content calendar, which we handed out a content calendar one of the last classes. I mean, you're going to see a sample of it today in the handout that I have for you all, which we'll also email all of our online attendees. But
You could drop it in the chat, so whenever you decide to disperse that, I'll
Yeah,
drop it.
that's great. Yep. So Savannah will actually drop that handout that we are giving out today in the chat box when I hand those out later. Well, she did her nails, so that works. She's a step ahead of me. Okay. So creating a content calendar is super helpful. You can even just get like a little paper calendar from Walmart and just mark on it, post to Instagram every, say you want to do Wednesday and Friday, you know, just developing a strategy and having that plan in place. All right, so really quick, and then we're going to get on to talking about boosting posts and insights. So let's talk about creating story highlights. We had several people inquire about how to create highlights on your story. So story highlights, why have highlights? Number one, it gives your followers easy access to content at their fingertips. It also boosts engagement with your followers, and I like to call them the mini libraries of important content by category. So you can break up your story content by category. So what we've done here with our page, we have these different categories on our Instagram homepage. So you see here, I enlarged the icons just so you can see them, but we have business tips, up and coming, news, shop, eat. So say if someone is wanting to spend a weekend in Bluefield and they don't know where to shop or eat, they could hop on our page and they could click that little story highlight and it would give them suggestions. So it's just a super easy way to get fast content in the hands of your followers. So we are going to look at how to create or how to add a story into that highlight. And then we're going to look at how you actually create the highlight itself in the next slide. All right, so to create a story, you just go to your home page and you'll hit either this plus icon or this plus icon. Once you do that, you create your story, whatever you want. You can add text, icons, GIFs. I don't know how you all say that word. I say GIFs, GIFs. You can change the text color. You can do all sorts of things with stories. And like I said, you could do videos or photos. So once you get it how you like, you hit send to, and it will pop this up, and you'll just hit share to your story and hit done. All right. Now, if you go back to that story that you just created, and you get to your stories by going to your home page and hitting on your profile photo. So you see these options down here, and one of them says highlight with the heart. If I want to tell this story to go to one of my highlight categories, then I hit that button. And then now you see the categories. Now you can just pick which category that you want it to fall under. And that is how you take a story that you've created and throw it in a highlight category. Now let's look really quickly at how you create and then place those little icons in your story. So to create the icon itself, we created all of ours on Canva. They have, lots and lots of icons that can be used that are super helpful. Some people like to purchase or download free packs and templates you can get on the internet. But we recommend Canva because it just gives you a little bit more freedom. Or if you're, graphic designer, go for it, an Illustrator, any of these options. So to actually create the icon category, you just go to your home page. And if you haven't created a highlight before, this new button will be up front. You won't have to look for it like I had to. But you're going to click that new button. And then you'll see your stories will pop up. All your past stories will show up. And if you haven't created stories yet, then get to it. Because the only way that you can create a highlight is by already having pre-existing stories. So now I'm just going to go through and I'm going to click every story that I want to go to this category. And for this one, I did our things to do highlight on our page. So I'm going through and I'm hitting everything that has anything to do with things to do in blue filled. All right, so after you're done, it'll take you to this and it'll allow you to change the cover and add a title. So I'm going to place my icon that I've already pre-created. You can crop it, edit it, make it look really pretty, nice. Get it situated how you want. And then here you can type in the name, and that is what will show up on your home page. And then after you're done, you just hit add and you are ready to go. And you can see it just auto-populated right there at the front of my highlight tab. So the next time you post some stories, you can hit that little highlight button and send it to whatever one you want. And this is just, a short list of the steps on how to do that. All right. So Savannah is going to come and share some about boosting posts and insights, which is very much so a large key into your Instagram strategy. Okay. It's been a hot minute since I've been up here. We're going to cover boosting posts and insights.
And traditionally, this can be a very overwhelming topic because you're going to be looking at a lot of data. But I think Instagram has really made their platform easy to read, easy to navigate, and easy to figure out what metrics you're looking for. And with that being said, you can't just take a shotgun approach when it comes to posting, especially when it comes to posting things that you want to boost and pay to boost. Because if you're going to pay for something, you want it to function well, you want it to perform well. So Instagram has a built-in insights tool that's telling you who is watching what you post. And this is an overview of your account as a whole, and we'll cover tracking individual post data in a second. So as you can see here, when I go to our Instagram page, this is our profile. We can see because it says edit profile, promotions, insights, email. You can select to view your professional dashboard, or you can select to use insights. It really doesn't matter. But when you select insights, this is what pops up. It's your insights overview. And this is a mechanism that will show you what works and what doesn't. And right away, you can see that our Instagram account is actually on a decline for accounts reach and content interaction. And this is due to we get super, super busy. We don't have the time to push on social media. So just as Faith said, you want to have a consistent posting because you will see a decline in your followers engaging with your content. So right away, we see accounts reach and we see contact interactions. Accounts reach means counting each unique user who sees your content. So that means Rod saw my content, Vicky saw my content, Faith saw my content, so on and so forth. Content interactions is the number of actions taken by the accounts that saw your account. So that means if the 3 of you saw my account and everyone else did online, except you left, and then maybe you came back and viewed it later, that's 2 interactions. So you want to have a high content interaction because that means obviously there's something about your post that people like. So next we're going to select down here where it says 5 posts, and I'll go to that in the next slide, but I'm also going to highlight these metrics are tracking the last 30 days. You can select this to track the last 7 days, the last 24 hours, however you want to track that. So once we select those posts, you can kind of sort how you'd like to see your content interactions. Right away, Instagram thinks that reach is the highest priority to them for most of us, which most of us it is. And it shows me which one of my photos has gotten the most reach. So right away, an opportunity zone information got 702 for reach, and that's content interactions. Followed by the opening of the Intuit building, followed by Colin O'Donnell graduating from our Entrepreneurs Bootcamp, so on and so forth. So we're going to select this little reach up here, and we're going to be able to look at all the other metrics that you can measure for Instagram. So when you post on Instagram, you need to have the end in mind, ensuring your customer has a straight, clear call to action. What do you want your customer to do by looking at your post? So at some point in time, your targeted user will reach a dead end, and it's up to you where that dead end is. So if I'm posting and I say, hey guys, sign up for our Instagram refresher, tap the link in our bio to register, that's your call to action, to tap the link in my bio or in our bio and register for the class. But once you register for the class, do you leave our website? Are you done? Do you go back to Instagram? Do you land on our page on Instagram? You have to figure out where your targeted user's dead end is because you want to keep them on your website or your Instagram for as long as possible. So some additional metrics or things that you can address are business address taps, call button taps, comments, email buttons, follows, post interactions, profile visits, and some that aren't shown on here because it's such a long list are shares, text button taps, video taps, and website taps. So I'm going to use Drake's Place as an example. So right off the bat, they have their URL and their bio to tell you where you can place an order. They have their address in the address box. And when you click contact, their email pops up and so does their phone number. So you can choose how to contact them. Now, if I'm, my personal account, la-di-da-di-da, I want to order something from Drake's Place and I go to their Instagram, if I hit contact and then I hit call, Instagram basically keeps track of everybody who called by selecting the call button on Instagram. So every time we click on an address, because maybe I don't know where Drake's Place is, Instagram will tell you how many people have clicked on your address within the past 7 days, 30 days, so on and so forth. So for our organization, our biggest call to action is the link in bio to drive folks to our website. And we recently implemented our new website so we can focus on driving traffic to our website. So as you can see here, we have the link in bio for our website right here in the link in our bio. And so when people select that, it pulls up a list of whatever news and press releases, join for a workshop, sign up for Entrepreneurs Bootcamp, so on and so forth. So if you remember, I went to selecting the metrics, I found website taps, and I select it, and I could see when we did a feature on Colin O'Donnell, we told a lot of people to tap the link in our bio to read more about Colin, and they did. So obviously 7 different people tapped that link in our bio because they selected our username and tapped the link in the bio, just as they were told. They followed that call to action. In the caption, we directly call on the reader to read more about Colin in our news and press releases once they click the link in our Instagram bio. And by reading this on their feed, the user is only 4 taps away from reading more about what we posted. So obviously this post appears in your timeline. We read, we say it under news and press releases. We can say, okay, we tap the My Bluefield WV, and then we tap that link in our bio, and then we have to tap one more time to news and press releases. And then there's Collins news and press release. And that's only 4 taps. And I brought up previously, people actually have the attention span of a goldfish, like literally have the attention span of a goldfish. So if you can't capture their attention, like if it's going to take them 10 taps to find that press release, they're over it. They're done. They're probably leaving Instagram and your website as a whole. And then you have individual post insights, which can be really helpful when determining what to boost. So if you have a business account, and which you should if you're running a business, you will see this view insights button down here at the bottom, and you're able to view individual metrics for each post. So looking here at this post that we shared of Collins, 64 people liked it, 3 people commented on it, and anyone on Instagram can see that. What was really unique is 8 people decided to send this to somebody on Instagram and use Instagram DMs. So we're like, I wonder why they sent that. So maybe Colin sent it to a friend out in New York, or someone saw it and said, hey, we need to go visit this place. And that's typically what happens the most when you post something so interesting. If I'm like, oh man, Faith, Drake's Place has this new menu item, I will send her the DM on Instagram so she can see, and we can say, okay, let's order that for lunch today. And then we're also able to see actions taken from this post. So right off the bat, 20 people viewed this post on their timeline and decided to visit our profile. And then of that, we saw website taps, and 7 people who visited our profile actually tapped on our website link. And then what I find really interesting is 28% of the accounts that we reach, and this is individual users, they may not necessarily like the post, but they at least saw the post. So 402 people saw our post, 28% weren't even following us. So that means those are the DMs that went through, people posted it to their story, so on and so forth. And you can see down here, I'm sure you can actually, yeah. There's a from home, from profile, from hashtag, and from other category, and you're able to see how many accounts were reached from those. And if you're looking from the hashtags that we use on the post alone, we got 18 accounts reached just from the explore page and using the whole hashtag thing. So now we want to talk about who is seeing what you post. If you go back to that main insights page, you can actually tap your audience and view cool things about the folks you follow. For example, this when you click audience, you're not going to have to view 3 different screens, but it scrolls for so long. I took 3 different screenshots, so we didn't have to do a whole bunch of videos and scrolling and stuff. And right off the bat, we're able to see we have 782 followers, and this is up 0.7% versus August 18th, which is really good. We don't have any unfollows, which is really good. And even if someone deactivates their account, usually that counts as a unfollow, and that stinks because they just deactivated it. It's not like they wouldn't actually unfollowed us. But you're also able to view your top locations. So we have a lot of viewers from Bluefield, which is great, Princeton, which is great, following by Bluewell, Falls Mills, and Athens. You can also select to toggle between cities and countries if you choose. However, we do most of our stuff is geared towards the Bluefield metropolitan area. So it really, we don't track who from other countries is viewing our content. Now we have a lot of folks from Germany and Australia view our content. I mean, if you're watching, hello, thanks for watching. But you really want to focus on your immediate reach. So Vicki, if you have Cornerstone Gifts, you really want to focus on folks who are within a driving distance of you, especially since you don't do a lot of online sales. And then you're also able to look at your age range, and this factors into your target market. And this is exactly what Faith was talking about earlier when she says using your insights to figure out who's actually watching your content. Because if you don't gear your content towards your insights, then you're just kind of hitting a market that's not even looking at you. You're not really tapping into who's following you. So right off the bat, we have 35 to 44-year-olds are the highest viewers of our content. And you can toggle that between all men and women. So for instance, in Vicki's case, I would say your target market's more women than it is men. So Vicki will want to tap on that women category and look at the age range. And then from there, you can make a decision on what kind of things you need to post or even what kind of things you want to buy for your storefront. And they're also able to see the breakdown of women versus men who follow us. And we have a high following of women. It's also a common thing that women are more likely to use Instagram than men are. I joke with Jim all the time. I call him a ghost follower because he doesn't post. He doesn't really like anything. He doesn't comment, but he's there. He's looking at our content. And you got to keep an eye out for your ghost followers, because even though they don't, comment, oh my gosh, I'll be in the store to buy this tomorrow, they're going to come in the store and say, hey, where's that thing you posted? They may not even say, where's that thing you posted? They may say, hey, where's your whatever? And you're like, did you see it on Instagram? Keep that in mind. Faith was also talking about most active times. You can toggle between hours and days. So right away we have hours toggled on hours, and then you can go by day for hours as well. So on Wednesdays, our followers are the most busy at 6 p.m. So I'm not going to go posting at 3 a.m. It's not a lot of people are going to see it. So here we're going to talk about how to actually boost posts. So now we see who's looking at our content. Now we're going to make an educated decision on what to boost. So we're going to refer back to our metrics under our insights, and we're going to look at reach. And because when we boost something, it's because we're typically trying to reach people who aren't typically following us, or people who don't really interact with our content. So we select reach, and we're going to look and say, okay, what made these posts so successful? Was it the photo? Was it the content? Is it the person in the photo? Is it what I said in the caption? Is the caption short, sweet, and to the point? And we're going to copy what works, and we don't want to copy what doesn't work. So if I make an assessment, you can try to use some flashy. Our first post right here was an informational post. The rest of these posts that say good vibes were just good, warm, things about Bluefield that got a lot of content interactions. Then we had another informational one. And then here we have just like a pretty picture. We're like, sunshine, great. And then here we have the opening of our Come In, We're Open campaign. So it's kind of different from the good vibes or the informational thing. So once you see what your successful posts have in common, you need to answer why you want to boost your intended posts. Do you want more followers? Do you want more reach and just the general public to know about what you're doing? Do you want individuals to contact your business, or are you going to be boosting a post that needs to reach a wide audience that traditionally wouldn't perform well without boosting? So if we're like, if we have a COVID vaccine drive, I mean, if the market's so saturated with, vaccines, so on and so forth, but if you do a boosted post, it's likely to reach more accounts than you normally would just posting it on your own. You need to post it. It may not perform the best, but boosting it can make it perform better than not boosting it at all. So we're going to boost the Instagram refresher course. So if I wanted to boost this, I need a more visible call to action. So the post did well on its own because the call to action was down in the bio, but we're going to go ahead and add an additional call to action. And we're able to see before we boosted it, it got 8 likes. No one sent it, no one bookmarked it, but 2 people took actions from the post, which is they visited our profile. And we're able to see from the homepage, we had 208 people at least read it or scroll past it in some way, shape, or form. And then 5 people actually viewed it from being already on our profile. But we reached 154 accounts, and that's less than 1% wasn't already following us. If we remember, 28% of the people that like Colin's post weren't even following us. We're only at 1% right now. So obviously we need to push this out beyond our normal market. So once you see what your successful posts have in common, you're going to need to answer why you want to boost your intended posts. So more followers, more reach, individuals to contact our business, or if you're boosting something that isn't, typically doesn't perform well. So we're going to go to the post and we're going to click this promote button. So when we want more folks to register for our workshop, and the only way they can register for our workshops is visiting our site. So when the select a goal pops up, we're going to select more website visits. You can do more profile visits, and that usually leads to more people tapping the follow button, or you can do more messages. And a lot of folks who don't do online sales will encourage people to message them. That way they can start the interaction and, hey, let me get your invoice or your email so I can send you an invoice, or we're open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can stop by, so on and so forth. So we selected more website visits. And then it asks you to define your audience.
So you can do automatic and let Instagram target people like your followers. But we like to take it into our own hands and we view our metrics and we see what works and what doesn't. We see who follows us. So we're going to create our own audience, but selecting an automatic audience from Instagram is fine if you're just starting out. But we want to note the special requirements up top, and you need to tap the section and select the corresponding requirement before continuing, or your ad will be rejected upon review. And if you do it so many times and not following the directions, they will flag you and say, no, you can't boost any posts at all. And this is for promotions about credit, employment, housing, social issues, elections, or politics. The process is super simple. All you have to do is say, yay, hey, I'm just boosting a post saying that we have a job opening. And this helps Instagram check for bias to make sure that you're not targeting, specific groups of people. That way, if something happens, you're liable for that bias. Hey, you're only targeting this demographic and not this demographic. So that kind of Instagram will help you make sure that you're within your legal guidelines of advertising. So we opted, I keep hitting the back button. We opted to create our own audience, and we're going to recall the individual statistics that we learned about our individual followers. So I'm going to call this audience name the Instagram refresh. And you will be able to use these audience again in the future. So if I create this Instagram refresh audience, if we host an Instagram 101 session a couple months from now, I can go back in and select this audience again to boosted posts. So next we're going to hit locations, and you can opt to alter this radius. This is the default thing that pops up, and it gives us a 15-mile radius from where we are right now. Or you can target individual municipalities and towns by selecting regional. So sometimes we'll do radius, and sometimes we'll go in and say, we specifically want to target folks in McDowell County. We specifically want to target folks in Tazewell or Monroe, or we want Princeton, but not Hurley, or so on and so forth. So it actually follows like the Google Maps and Apple Maps data. So you can select very specifically who you want to target. Like I said, we will typically do local for a radius because our content isn't contingent on from which municipality attends our stuff. So, and then it's going to ask us to fill out particular interests about who we're trying to target. So right away, we want to target business owners and we want to target small business owners. But if you look up here, it says, that's way too specific. You're only going to reach 1,000 people. I mean, you can if you want, but Instagram's like your ad's going to perform really poorly. So we attempted these two. Instagram pinged it to being too specific and the ad won't perform well. So we're going to add 2 more. So I want to target business owners, small business owners, and Instagram, people who like Instagram and people who are into social media marketing. I really don't want to know how Instagram knows who's into what, but they're pretty good at targeting that stuff. And it's typically based on what you already like and follow. So as we add these interests, Instagram updates our estimated audience size and gives us a green light. And this means the ad will perform better than the just two targeted interests that we had before. As we add more interests extremely specific to whom we're wanting to attend our workshop, we see the potential people that can be reached from this ad increase. There is such a thing as being too broad, and Instagram will ping it as red too. They'll say, hey, you're doing your shotgun approach again, stop it. Let's really narrow down who you're trying to reach. And it's going to ask you for age and gender. We want to refer back to our insights about our followers. So for us, our median range was 35 to 44 years old. So why would we target anyone, 18 to 20 or 65 and up? But this doesn't really make sense. So I opted just to put it from 29 to 65 years old, because although our Instagram says, hey, you're only getting folks 35 to 44, we know that the average age of an entrepreneur is around 44 years old and up. So we're going to target who we already have following us, and we're going to expand into the market that we know people need help with. Once you've made these specifications, you can verify that your audience looks correct. And you can see here, okay, our audience is estimated at 32,000 people. Our location is based off about where we are now. It has our interests, our age and gender, and you're then going to be navigated back to the main screen. And then you're going to see the audience that you just created, your Instagram refresh, and it has all those little metrics in there. And you're able to see prior audiences that we've created for other boosted posts. I had an already existing Insta audience. I had an audience just for our opportunity zone training, and then a very broad audience of people in Bluefield. So these will stay, so you can refer back to those in the future. So next, it's going to ask about your budget and how much you want to spend. Instagram's going to present a slider that you can alter to adjust how much you're willing to spend. But I recommend keeping it in very small increments as a small business, because as soon as you spend more, Instagram's going to want you to spend more. And then it's not your, say if I boost a post for $20 today, and then next week I boost a post for $100, and then I go back to $20, Instagram's gonna be like, what do you mean you want to go back to $20? Like, you're just spending $100, like it's just not going to perform as well. And it's kind of sneaky. So I feel like collectively we can work together to keep the price of social media boosting down, especially since we're in a low cost of living area. If we were in New York City, it'd be completely different, because we'd be competing with everyone else in New York City trying to push out geographical ads, but we're not. So the more you spend, the more Instagram's gonna be like, hey, you want to spend a little more, a little more, a little more. So I'm going to adjust our slider. So I was like, okay, $14 over 7 days. And that's our total spend. And as you notice, it's going to reach 980 to 2,600 people. But when I put it down to $2 daily, Instagram's like, that's just the recommended minimum. And anything less could cause the ad not to perform well. And it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense. But when we adjust to $3 daily for a duration of 7 days, we see that estimated reach increase from 1,500 people to 3,900 people, with an overall ad spend of just $21. This is very attainable, and Instagram doesn't flag it. So we can expect our ad to perform well. So before we hit that create promotion, we're going to want to review and verify everything on our screen for accuracy. Once you follow through, your ad will go under a review process. This can take anywhere from seconds up to 24 hours. If you select that special ad category, I would expect for it to take up to 24 hours before your ad is reviewed. But a reminder, I can't stress this enough. If you are covering anything in regards to credit, employment, housing, social issues, elections, or politics, you must go under the additional screening. All you have to do is press a button. Facebook/Instagram does the rest of the work, but you could get in serious trouble if you end up boosting an ad that follows one of these categories without denoting it as a special ad category. So we're going to take a look. Everything looks good. We're going to review our promotion. And it looks good. So when we view the preview, when folks view it in their timeline, they're going to see this learn more button kind of pop on the bottom. When you're scrolling, it kind of like flashes like a pretty blue. And you're like, wait a second, what is that? And if people select to learn more, it navigates them to our website. And here's a short clip of what the review process looks like. So right away, we can see it says sponsored up here at the top, and we can see what it looks like in a story. And this is part 2 of the story. So this is what it would look like when people are just tapping through their stories. If you don't like the way this looks, I would recommend jumping onto Creator Studio on an actual desktop computer and alter your ad from there. But if it works for you this way, just go ahead and click done. And that is all I have for you guys. So if you have any questions about boosting posts, insights, and metrics, it's one of those things where you are going to have to go in and play around with it before it really makes sense. And play around with all of those different metric categories. And I'll actually go back for a hot second. I didn't realize how many slides I have. Go in and mess around. How many people are commenting? How many impressions do I get? How many post interactions do I get? And just learn about your Instagram page, because when you go to boost, it's going to make more sense. I'm going to take us back to the end. And for the folks joining us on Zoom, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Faith is going to drop the link to the survey in the chat. If you'd be so kind to take that survey for us, it lets our boss and our boss's bosses and our boss's bosses' bosses know that we're doing a great job. You can hold up your camera to the QR screen on your computer, or if you're joining us in person, you can hold it up to the TV and it'll take you to the survey page. And we also want to let you know we're doing the same thing, a Canva refresher on September 15th at 8 a.m. to 8:45 a.m. We'll be covering some of the newer updates to Canva. So if that's all, I'm going to stop the recording. Actually, Faith, you have to stop the recording.